Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Mike Lynch and Repo Rod.
And they go, well, them guys burnt homeboy for 10 G's on the repairs on the bikes. And I'm just going, oh man, I lost my mind. Then when I bring it up, it's like, well, nobody else seems to have. I said, look, guys, this is what you don't understand about business. If I was having a run or I was having something that was real important money wise, right? And we needed this to help us out and get ahead and get out of debt or whatever we were in, right? I could invite him, the race car team, the trade. You know what it looks like when them guys, you know what I mean? This is a big to do. If this guy was to come out and start helping us, making things look at, you take a bike like that, do a burnout in front of 1,000 people. They love that. And then he's going to have his free things and some t-shirts. The guy's he's going to be advantageous to be friends with him. And he's 2 blocks from our clubhouse. And these guys got to go bully him, take his money, and then the or else came out. Well, if you say anything, if you this, if you that, if you this, then the or else comes out. Well, a guy that's God-fearing and does all this, doing real good, he's scared to death. And then I'm doing, pretty soon he wouldn't talk to me. And I go, what the And that's when it all came out.
Didn't they do it with their patches on too?
That's another one of my pet peeves. I don't give a fuck. I mean, hey, I won't say, I'll speak for myself. We play around with party favors throughout our time, but no matter what, I do this, it don't do me. Yeah. Okay. We try to stay on the level, and it isn't like I haven't had my problems. I'm not going to, that's bullshit. But when you're wearing this, why is it that you got to go in someplace where I wouldn't go? Not that I'm afraid, it's just that we don't belong there, And I asked a couple of these guys, you guys are bottom feeding. They're not even in our fucking existence. And there you guys are with all this on. And you're telling all these people, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me all your money. And these are people that are, at one time were probably sitting out in our parties and having a great time. And then you turned on them and you start raping these people. I had people, because when you're in business, I know everybody. Well, they're telling me, hey, man, your guys came over and it was somebody's birthday or whatever, so they wanted they wanted the limousine driver in the limousine. They get it, okay, then the guy comes back and goes, hey, man, those guys fucked me. They trashed the car, stayed out 5, 6, 7 hours, and then, I got nothing out of it, and except for a couple guys walked up to me and said, hey, if a word comes out and we hear about it, the or else comes out. And I'm saying, why do you guys, I'll tell you, if you can go up to somebody, citizen or not, and say, hey, you know what a Hell's Angel is? I would say the reply is, oh, yeah, they have heard, or they heard a story or whatever. So why do we have to reiterate what we are and what we do? There's no reason for that. They knew it already, but some of you motherfuckers got your ego fucked up and you got to go push it on people. Well, that's not how we can survive in our hometown, because eventually they're going to be talking to Popo. And eventually Popo is going to take up the fight. And then we're outnumbered, outgunned, out everything. And so one of us is going to get caught up in some shit because of what somebody else did. And it's just, I think that, especially nowadays, I go, if them guys got arrested, how in the did all this information come out when there was 4 guys in that room? But yet information was flowing like water out of a water pipe.
Yep.
And now what? Now we got a big thing going on for 3 or 4 years. It's in all the newspapers. And then some of the methods of doing this, they were very explicit about how things went down and what went on during, after, and all that. And these guys act like they were there. So they didn't even, it's hard to have a chance to defend yourself when you're holding the smoking gun and a bloody knife and then telling everybody you didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? You're sitting here like this, brother, and you're going, that's not me. Daft. You, that ain't me. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, when we get done, you'll be thinking it's okay.
Mike, tell me about the time that George got put on the spot and he ended up laying his patch down, because people have a misconception on how he left the club. He tells people he just laid his patch down and left because they were becoming the people that they rebelled against, right?
Yes, all that. Okay. Now, that's a great story. That's a great story. Okay. But don't you dare try to make any of us swallow that. You know what I mean? We all know. In my opinion, it started when Sonny went to the club and asked permission to do the book and maybe a movie. Okay. We retained entertainment attorney. We had it. It was all by the book. Every goddamn thing that we did was by the book as far as legality. How much share would Sonny get? How much share would the club get? There was a percentage. If the club bomb or the movie bombs or the book bombs, the club is guaranteed something, but Sonny's the one that has to eat it.
Yeah.
Because if it isn't successful, well, the opposite happened. Everything blew up about it. Everybody loved it. I personally did 3 book signings, with Sonny. I mean, it was like it went over well. So the chance that he took, it ended up working out for him. So what I say, more power to him. Okay. Well, after that, and it's all going on, George comes to the club, and he has some pretty good ideas. He gets them out there. I got an idea about this, or I got an idea about that. And the club just said no. They weren't enthused about it as much as he was. Okay. And, I don't care about your age or whatever. We got young guys, old guys, but I'm telling you, there's guys in there that I can't even explain how much knowledge that they have. And guys don't they don't just spit it out of their mouth. That's an opinion. They might want to go back, look, boot, do that, do a little homework, and then come up with what they have to say. Okay. But that's no reason for anybody. Okay. He's upset. Your butt hurt. That's great. But that doesn't mean that you're going to take a lesser part than what you've been doing. In other words, if you're that down here, you shouldn't be letting other people that don't have the experience you do jump in and speak for us. And it just seemed to me that he was stuck on that camera, being what you call a representative. Okay. Well, I don't know. I was on the West Coast for 17 years. And I just said, hey, you're absolutely right. The history and whatever okay, cool. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about an isolated incident here where you let your guard down and you slipped one of our biggest things. We don't cooperate. And now you've got a West Coast officer. You got a guy that's an officer in his charter. You got me I'm basically gave 120% of my life to the club because, we don't get paid for none of that. We just go. If anybody asks you nothing, I don't know if no is in our vocabulary. We just say, what do you need? That's it. And you grab who you think you should grab and you go. Where that started losing its credence and our credibility as members of the Hells Angels. When Hells Angels start questioning themselves or questioning what they have overseen, and then we have to go, well, I don't want to be the rat that goes and does this. I don't want to be the guy that says, hey, something over here ain't right. And then have something start up. And then there's no end to how deep the hole will go.
Yeah.
And none of us are going to get out of it because we're just plain worker bees. We do what we're asked to do. We do it right. And then we carry on. Okay. I have no want to get paid. I just want to know that when it comes to my turn, that you can say, hey, that motherfucker will help you if you need it. There was a lot of questions when I switched over the money. I dealt with the East Coast and I didn't say, well, man, that's a bunch of shit. No, I didn't. You know what I mean? I went out there. I don't know if you remember Tato. Tato was the treasurer out there then. And anyway, I showed him how to do this money thing where it was completely legal. We're not profiting from nothing. We just use banks to store our money because it's safer. Then when I need to go send somebody to a funeral, I go get the money out of the bank, buy the plane ticket. Here's your per diem, and here's your ticket. Bye-bye. When I ride to USA to meet you guys out there, I'm not sitting with bundles of money in my thing. I got 4 pieces of plastic. They've had my on the hood of a car 100 times and didn't know that there was X amount of money laying right in front of you. And they just couldn't. And to me, I thought that was pretty smart on myself to ask, what's a foolproof way? And the guys will do it like this. You're not making no money. You're not getting no interest. The money that you're putting in is donations from within ourselves.
Because they were confiscating like 100,000, 60,000.
The guys in the East Coast, a guy's going to an OM, okay, and he's got to pay the powers that be for a USA run. Okay, well, that's not $5. Okay,
no,
it's a chunk. Okay, so on their way, bang, they get pulled over, right? And not that they're doing anything, but these guys, whatever they're doing, they'll make it up on the way they're stopping them. They've already made up a story.
Yeah.
Okay, so if one of the brothers that's doing his job and taking the money where it goes, they get stopped, and then these guys take it from them for alleged dirty money or proceeds from a criminal organization. Okay, now we get, and the guy at the East Coast or whoever gets it taken. It costs the East Coast lawyer 20 to get back 60. Okay, so these guys, for doing his job and going out there, and the guy that's holding the shit, come on, you think they're going to pat him on the back? It's okay, bro. No,
you're responsible, kind of, right?
You must have been doing something to have them guys get in your. And so that poor bastard's going to get it forever. How long? You're suspect, period. Okay.
Yep.
So
that happened when they put the money together for the Mongol situation, didn't they confiscate some of that money?
They were going after them specifically for being a criminal organization And then when Doc testified against his crew, you know, you got the president. I don't know about their hierarchy, whether it's national or whatever, but I know that he sent to hell probably 30, 40 guys. He sent them straight to hell. And all them guys, I can probably promise you, were loyal.